companies for the last couple of years. Started with sales enablement as my core gig, but over a period of time, apart from sales enablement, I've also been doing sales consulting. As of now, 4 clients who are working with me on a regular basis, and a couple of clients on and off basis. Yes, sales enablement, I've been part of the society, I think, almost from the first few cycles. I think, I don't know when I joined, maybe it was already in existence for 3 months or so. And I've been participating as much as possible. But given the new normal, with the advent of technology and with the advent of video conferencing and other collaborative tools, I'm hoping and praying that our connects and the number of sessions that we do increases multifold, because I see definitely value in terms of us coming together, sharing and learning from each other on the best practices. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, everyone. I am Shikha Batla, and I've been in the sales domain and function for almost last 15 years. The first few years I spent was with large organizations doing sales for them. And for last 6-7 years, I've been associated with my own venture, managing again sales and business development. I am currently associated with 2 ventures. One is B2B and the other is B2C, looking after sales domain and enablement properties for the ventures. And happy to be a part of of this forum. Hoping to share my own learnings in both the segments, and also to take away, a lot of learnings from everybody who is here in terms of how we can do things better. And, that's my association over last 1 year.
Thank you, Shikha. Dhriti?
So hello everyone, I am Dhriti Goyal. I am currently growth marketing leader at Happy. To give you a background about Happy, it's a business expense management solution, and I am here with Happy from last 4 years. So my journey in this industry or as a marketer was way less than what Shikha and Sam said. I've just been in professional industry, corporate industry from last 4 years. But yes, being at a startup where I've seen the company changing its avenue from India to US, and the market going from startup to enterprises, I've seen a lot of growth hacking activities what we have done with sales, marketing, and stuff. So got a good understanding of digital as well as the offline marketing, and I've associated with FPS from last, I guess, 8 months. I was hoping that we have a offline session where all can meet, but sadly it didn't happen. But good, we started with an online discussion.
Thank you, Dhriti. Krishna?
My God. Am I audible, Vinay?
Yes,
yeah.
you.
Yes, first of all, good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this group. I also joined basically because I was introduced by the founder, Rahul, there. And what my background is about, almost about 32 years in sales and sales management and training. Last 12 years in sales training. 2 years I'm on my own with a company called as Growth Aspire. The whole objective of starting this company is to help the sales people to meet their growth aspirations. That's my brief about this. We'll continue as we progress. We'll get to know each other more and more. Yes, Vinay.
Thank you so much, Krishna.
Yeah.
Saurabh?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Saurabh Das, and I work as a sales enablement leader at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. My role I've been with enablement for over 10 years now, and I kind of help out our sellers as well as our channel partners, mostly kind of managing operations and analytics from India, helping out worldwide teams. So I kind of joined this team so that one, I joined Sales Enablement Society. Then I thought, let me kind of join the Bangalore chapter so that I can kind of contribute and share my learnings and also kind of learn from what all of you are doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh. Neil, last of our panelists.
Thanks, Vinay. Good to be again in the spot where you can put me in the spot. So have been part of the society from the very early days when Vinay, Rahul, Raj created this society, and have been regular to almost all chapter meetings till the time I used to be in Bangalore. As what I do for a living, so I'm a sales guy, still sell, and I handle the growth function for Yellow Messenger across the globe, based out of almost all over the place. And yeah, so here almost interacted with, had the opportunity to interact with most of the people on the panel today offline as well, when we used to have the meetings offline on those Fridays, and hopefully we can at least continue on this new world in this new tech model where we can continue to have our meetings online, so that what the DNA or the emphasis of this chapter was, that is to take the profession of sales and sales enablement to greater heights, that drive can continue. We have had tremendous interest and input and engagement from the community. Of course, as Vinay rightly mentioned, we were the first chapter outside US, eventually became the first chapter in Asia, have helped build more chapters. Have been able to build the first SES chapter based out of Lahore. I created the first chapter in Kuala Lumpur. But the traction that I've seen in the Bangalore chapter, I have not seen it anywhere. So looking forward to reliving the magic of the Bangalore chapter again.
Thank you, Neil.
Over to you, Vinay.
Thank you. Ravindra has also joined us. Hey, Ravindra, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Vinay. Thanks for the opportunity. Hello, everybody. Am I audible?
I hear a bit of an echo, Ravi.
The reason is my headphone.
Right. Maybe
My headphone is not okay.
Okay.
Ravi, maybe you've logged in. Yeah, correct. You've logged in with two instruments, so you've put one on mute. Yeah, it should be better now.
No. Yeah, my name is Ravindra Chandrasekhara. I'm a consultant for two companies, one for growth assessments, a Delhi-based company, and one for a company who I do deal coaching. What I mean by deal coaching is when they get RFPs, I go strategize their entire win strategy and walk the team right from pre-RFP stage to the client overalls and proposal defense. So I'm a retained consultant for two companies. I also have two companies. One is Pursuit Mentors Consulting, where I do consulting and coaching and training, and also deal coaching. The other is a B2C company, a little bit into B2B, where we do conferences across the globe on three areas. One is growth, the other one is on leadership, the third is on technology. So this is what I do for a living, two companies of my own, and I work for two companies. I keep blogging, I keep writing articles, and I keep doing a lot of training and consulting with companies. Special focus on B2B companies, because that's where my experience from IBM, Wipro, HP, Cognizant came into. Happy and glad to contribute anyway for SES. I attended only one offline meeting, that was in Residency Road. Glad to contribute anything further to SES. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ravindra. You attended the best one. That was our annual day celebration, I suppose. It was a big one. I want to mention, I did see Rahul join. Rahul, are you here?
Yeah, I can hear Vinay.
There's a co-founder. One of the co-founders is also joined.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a good initiative that took by Vinay. In this scenario, sharing the problems, sharing how we will navigate in this VUCA world will help each other to grow better in this new world. So happy to be part. Yeah, over to you, Vinay.
Thanks, Rahul. Thank you. In fact, I should admit the idea of online sessions was Shika's thought many months ago. We played around with that thought for some time, and again, as as we have got back to our respective day jobs, Neil has been pushing me, Sam has been pushing me, Krishna, Ravindra, everybody has had their own thoughts in terms of how to revive Sales Enablement Society. So while there are 3 founders of the society, there are many people who lay the bricks to what it is today. So without further ado, I now will kick things off with the webinar. The intent is to have a Q&A session. We have a bunch of questions which were thrown at me by multiple people, some attending the session, some just sent me the question. I'm recording the session for people who just joined in. We will share the video recording with others who could not join us and put it up on the social media also. So let me kick things off. Right, so the first question, a very interesting one. I would point it to one of you, and then we'll get other opinions also. The first question is, as a leader or as one who advises leaders, what are you doing to enable the sales team progress? So that's the first question. Let me first throw it to Neil. Neil, I think you're on mute. You're missing out your pearls of wisdom. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so before I start, let me tell you the current situation that we're in. There's a famous Chinese curse that says, may you live in interesting times. And boy, oh boy, can't be any more interesting times than this. So in terms of what we are doing in order to cater to the current situation, how as a leader, how it's been driven is, so had been an advocate of remote selling for a very long time, and have practiced it in multiple organizations, especially in my current role. From a very early stage, we started practicing remote selling, and that's something which we have only amplified. So the 3 major change that we have brought in during this time is to completely emphasize on remote selling, enable people who are conquerors of the boardroom in their physical ability to walk into a boardroom and conquer boardrooms, to enable them as to how they can still conquer the boardroom decisions without that handshake. And second, of course, is to keep the conversations going. That's extremely critical, to have the conversations going. And the third would be going back to the strategy of a bird in the hand. That is the existing customers and the relations that are there, taking advantage of this time to kind of strengthen that more in order to at least keep the existing revenue flow constant. So these are the 3 key elements that I've been practicing in the current situation. Happy to learn from others.
Thanks, Neil. Sam, you've been advising sales leaders and corporate leaders for some time now. How have you changed the advice? Any alteration in terms of the advice of how to keep sales revenues going?
Hey, thanks. So three things with the clients that I'm working with. After the lockdown was done, of course, it was logically the year end as well. And that was the time when the numbers were getting discussed and they were getting finalized. So one of the things that we did was we looked at the first 6 months targets and we recast the targets down. I mean, for different companies, different percentages. Because there was already a soft conversation with the business leaders around March 15th, second week or third week. But by April 1st week, once the new financial year started, the numbers got recalibrated. Not for the whole year, but for the first 6 months.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that we did. The second thing that we did, which I advised, was that most of the companies, because most of the sales guys are on variable pay, there is always a gate that the sales guy has to cross to get this variable pay for the quarter.
The threshold, yes.
So the threshold level, right? Many companies had 60%, a few companies had 70% for even their variable to be paid. So one recommendation that I made was to remove the gate for the first 2 quarters.
Okay.
So if somebody came in at 30% in the earlier quarters, they lost the entire 30% variable or 40% variable. So second recommendation that I made, which I think most of the companies have adopted, is not to have any gate for the variable pay at all. So if somebody's at 30%, he at least makes that 30% variable component.
Fair.
And the third thing is we have asked marketing for the first time to take some hard number goals, because these are going to be tough times. Yeah, many of them are adopting inside sales methodology, et cetera, but I think the power of marketing will have to play its part.
Okay.
In terms of reaching out, in terms of building the brand, in terms of keeping the conversation going. So 2 of the companies have actually taken a hard sales funnel number for the first 6 months.
Okay.
So it also improved the morale of the salesperson. So when we were independently talking to the salespeople, earlier marketing used to their target used to be number of events or number of campaigns. So it was all about the output.
Okay.
Now suddenly they feel that marketing as an additional team member, coming and shouldering their pain, taking some number targets, and working together as a team. So these are 3 things, Vinay, that I thought I'll share.
Thank you. That was very useful. Dhriti, maybe bring in the perspective of Happy. What are you guys doing to help the sales team?
Our company is mainly sales driven, and we have as Mr. Sam said that in wherever he has suggested that marketing should now have some numbers. Well, fortunately, I didn't know, but my CEO and all of our management team was always concerned about how much marketing is getting the numbers. Because in our company, it's more like for all the digital campaigns or offline campaigns, we are accountable on the basis of number of leads we are getting, or how many conversions are happening, how many meetings are happening. So it remains the same now. Where we had to take a quick decision was major marketing budget goes in our offline events and offline activities. So now we had to totally transfer it on online. And a lot of hand holding and change management aspects and activities was done internally to make people aware what are the best practices when it comes to digital marketing. How you should make sure that your meetings should happen, what should be the sessions were taken for sales team, and this time what we have utilized is our product is too complex. When I say complex, it's not the functionality of it, but the technicality. So our product has mainly developed in last 3 years. So the people who were there in the main core technical team, they know what it is, but the others just have a gist of it. So this time we utilize to make everyone aware of what is the power of our product. And so we have weekly sessions on what we have implemented for different they can have for industry, specific industry, how to approach a particular target audience, and stuff like that in terms of intent and what kind of messages should be given.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No, I think I had an internet outage for a brief second. Thanks, Dhriti. Thanks for that. So I have a couple more questions which are relevant to marketing. So I'll come back to you, Dhriti, on those. But I think the next one, I suppose most of our attendees are waiting to hear from. And the question goes, selling in a VUCA world, what is your top tip for sales professionals? And I'd love to start with Krishna.
Thank you, Vinay. What I have been suggesting to a lot of people is that whenever the economy goes down, the first thing which happens is the spending comes down. When the spending comes down, the opposite is that the power who has to sign the final order also will go 2 level up. If it was with the purchase manager, now it will go to 2 level up, maybe the CFO. That person is also accountable for 2 things. One is the result, and another one is how much he is going to spend. When he says about the result, it could be 2 things: how you are going to save the money, how you are going to earn the money. These are only 2 things which he will have as a result. Now, the sales team so far has been interacting with the lower level or the middle level management and getting things done. But now they have to go higher up. What is that these guys are going to talk to that person who is taking a decision on how is his product or a service is going to be value to him and his organization. And because of this, what I am saying is to all the people is to first go and connect to the decision maker on any way. If it is existing customer, then try to connect with one more meeting with the decision maker or something.
Okay.
But if it is with a new customer, what is important is to connect them on the LinkedIn. And for that to happen, you should have a prospect profile first. Optimize your LinkedIn profile. I've been saying a lot of LinkedIn profile looks like a job aspirant and not a sales professional. But then you need to position yourself as a professional who is going to help there, and create your own database using a LinkedIn. And then you start messaging, and that's how get. This is to the decision. If you do the right messaging is what you're doing.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that understand who has got the power to do this. Okay, and then only you will be able to do this. This was earlier also there, but most of the salespeople don't know how it is going to impact on the top level. That's what my suggestion is. Okay. Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
Shikha, your thoughts, please.
Thanks, Vinay, and good to hear you, Krishna.
Yeah.
See, I think the major challenge nowadays in the VUCA world is that one has to get extremely comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And that's what we are addressed to on a daily basis. And having said that, how do you really do that? So I am a part of 2 ventures which are absolutely different in nature, and how they get navigated, in these times by the same set of leaders are very, very different. Having said that, this means that, always have a kind of a long-term plan, a bit of a long-term. Even long-term now does not qualify because things continue to change so frequently. So there has to be some degree of long-term that gives you an anchor, right? That where really you're going, and you use these your existing circumstances to navigate to your that destination. So having said that, so for example, the 2 ventures that I'm currently engaged with, there is one venture where we are actually looking at surviving this period.
Right.
And that requires a different set of decision making from a venture where we are seeing that we'll definitely survive this. How do we look at it from an opportunity perspective and open up a new market. Right? So how these this is longer term plan in mind, navigating yourself through that and saying, I'm perfectly fine being comfortable in this uncomfortable scenario. I'm going to take decisions, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to adapt very quickly.
Got it.
So, this is something that we've been doing, and so far we've been surviving.
You use the phrase long term, Shikha. Could you quantify that in the current situation? What would you?
Vinay, we lost you.
Right. Can you hear me?
Vinay, I think your Wi-Fi is a little patchy.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Is this better? No?
Can't hear Vinay, right?
Murphy's Law.
Right, Vinay. Yeah. We can hear you.
Now it's better. Now it's better.
Okay. So I was trying to ask you, Shikha, a follow-on question. You use the phrase long-term. Could you quantify that? What is long-term according to you? No? Okay.
Good question, Vinay. Right. So like I told you, even long-term per se, it's losing its sense with how we are navigating, because what we are witnessing does not even tell us whether our services and products will remain relevant, in next couple of years or not. Something that we've been addressed with nowadays. So for example, the B2B venture that I am associated with, we offer our services to people who are feet on the street. And that is one segment which has totally vanished, right? So it just does not make sense to say that it will, at a very, at a large scale, will continue maybe after a year or two. So at this point in time, for us, that long-term goal becomes, are we going to survive this period if it continues for another 6 months, right? And what do we have to do if we have to analyze and even pivot, right, to the new services or to the new requirements of the same customers? That is one. The other venture that I would look at, we could pivot very quickly in a B2C scenario where our existing customer could be brought online immediately and we could continue to serve them, right? So the long term for that venture for us becomes, a new market has been opened up, right? Even if we do happen to go back to our old scenario and regular normal, but a new market has come into being, and are we going to be ready for this and develop this further? So the goals for both will be very, very different, and how we are addressing them, at teams level are extremely different.
Ravindra, we'd like to bring you in at this point. Specific tips that you have for sales professionals.
Thanks, Vinay. I always feel that VUCA was always there. VUCA is still there, and VUCA will always remain, especially for the sellers, especially for the sales world. The reason I'm telling this is, now it's a pandemic and we see this as VUCA. Just a few months back, there was a different kind of reasons for the VUCA world. I always tell my people, wherever I go for coaching and consulting and training, that don't get bogged down by this huge jargon called VUCA. We've always lived through ages how to overcome VUCA, and we were successful in dealing with the VUCA world.
Right. Right.
Did you say something?
No, I said yes. Please continue.
Yeah. So having said that, it's a tall claim telling that we'll live with VUCA and let's not get too worried about that. The one thing I've always worked for myself as well as for my customers and my coaches are, work on the implicit needs of your customer. Identify the right stakeholders in the pursuits you're chasing, pursuits you're creating, and identify the right stakeholders and their stakes, especially the implicit stakes. So if a person comes to me and wants to try to sell something to me, and when there is no difference between he and what the other person is selling, I don't see a difference between those two. But if the same person resonates with me, finds out my inherent, implicit, hidden needs, and if he brings in the right value to it, building the right value proposition and some kind of a resonation or a rapport building, etc., I will start liking him as a buyer. So I always tell people, work on the implicit needs. Don't get bogged down with competition. Just identify the win themes of your own organization or your services or products and hit on the customer's dominant desires and show a future reality to all your customers when you're working with them. So I should feel as a buyer that this guy, this seller is trying to solve my problems, is addressing my stakes, which may be both professional as well as personal. And there is nothing wrong in case we have professional aspirations. What I mean by that is, I as an employee, assistant vice president in a company, want to reach a certain target or metric, etc., to become a vice president. So that is personal desire of mine. So if a seller or if a service provider or if a product company comes to me as a buyer and understands my implicit needs along with my professional need, build the right relationship, understanding the right stakes, showing a future picture, telling that, Ravindra, let's work together. In the next 6 months, I'll erase out all your problems. Probably I'll start liking him or her. And that's when the trade starts happening, because we built an excellent relationship. So just to conclude, VUCA always stayed, VUCA will always be there in future. Let's not get bogged down the word VUCA. VUCA came into existence by the army, by the defense forces,
Yes.
and they live in VUCA actually, but we are not living in VUCA. We are living in targets, we are living in pressures, we are living in job insecurities, as well as so many other inferior complexities.
Right.
So VUCA will always be there. Let's not get bogged down too much on VUCA. Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you, Ravindra. In fact, I'd like to get a couple more opinions, but I'm going to ask a follow-on question and then bring the people in. So the next question is, revenues have been impacted whatever the size of the organization is. Any learnings that you can share with our audience on innovative measures that you have seen taken or have personally taken to help dull this blow? So I'd like to go to Neil and following on from there, Saurabh.
Yeah, so Vinay, when you say revenues have been impacted, of course, revenues have been temporarily impacted, but I don't think that's a long-term impact that we're going to see. Now, that being said, there are two aspects to that statement. One is to understand why it's been impacted, the internal factors versus the external factors. So if we look at the internal factors, and if there we are seeing that the primary negative drivers for that is from the external factors, then the first and foremost understanding is, does it really exist or is it psychological?
Okay.
In what Ravindra and Shikha added during the discussion on the previous topic, saying that so it was a very nice submission by Ravindra, saying that yeah, VUCA always stays, and Shikha mentioned that being comfortable in the new uncomfortable. Yeah, so when we're calling it as a new normal, right? The primary question to ask as an organization leader is that how much of that new normal are we accepting as normal?
Right.
See, sales guys are naturally resilient to all adversities. So that is there, and it should prevail, or it should continue like that. Whether I mean the vulnerable environment or the current situation, whatever it is, this hustle is there to remain. So that drive from sales or the sales resources should not go down, considering that there are external factors pulling it down. So internally, while that drive remains, externally, if we look at it, there are certain learnings which we can take from that and turn it into our benefit. So even if we are to agree that this is a vulnerable environment, in any such condition, business passes through three zones in any vulnerable environment: the zone of fear, learning, and growth. Now, if we are to consider that we have crossed the first one, the zone of fear, and today we are in the zone of learning, then what are the learnings that we had had? We had had the first learning is to unlearn ourselves completely. All trend data, trend reports which were there or have not been built in the last 90 days are irrelevant today. We have enough data points to see which are the domains, which are the industries that we shouldn't go after. There are multiple industry domains where there is severe bloodbath due to the new economy. But then there are certain industries or certain functional domains where this particular economic condition have opened new doors. And just to give you an example, at Yellow Messenger being an automation company, being a conversational AI platform, we have seen our workload increase fivefold than what it used to. And that's because COVID has led to a lot of transformational decisions which were otherwise being there in the decision board for a very long time. So understanding which are the domains, which are the segments where you can go and you can sell is the primary understanding that we need to take, the learning that we need to take. And the third, of course, would be growth. Now, channeling our growth in all aspects of sales. I mean, based on the learning that will come in dealing in this condition is what's going to help us grow. Now, the first and foremost, of course, are the identifying those industry domains that we will go after. Second is, of course, how do we keep the funnel engaged or the funnel involved? There are certain dependencies which we have on a normal day or the earlier normal days are actually non-existent today. For just to give you an example, the process of pumping in huge amount of leads into the pipeline through industry events. So if you had a certain dependency of say about 200, 300 leads getting pumped into your funnel from industry events, that's not possible today. So what's the alternate? So these are, I mean, I don't want to spill out too much there, but of course there are, I mean, we are in the phase of learning, and how better we utilize this learning is gonna lead to the growth that we will see in this new economic condition.
Thanks, Neil. Saurabh, your thoughts? I might want to add a question there, a minor tag, following on from what Neil said. It'd be great if you could include some industries which, like Neil said, we should stop going after, or at least pause going after for the time frame, and which industries do have some relevance for salespeople to go after, in your answer, if that's possible.
Okay. So I'll start up from where Neil left off. Okay. So, and I'll just share what our organization is doing. It will give, probably a flavor of what tech companies are doing. So being redeployed. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. No, I just got a pop-up saying that my internet was unstable. Sorry about that. So just let me know. Yeah. What our organization is doing, because just to ensure that the funnel is getting filled, we're kind of working on solutions. So our, HPE is a technology kind of company, right? So it kind of provides servers, networking, storage, cloud solutions, right? Like Dell, EMC, IBM, NetApp, and VMware. So we need to change solutions. The speeds and feeds are not relevant anymore. Now people are selling, virtual desktop environments, right? So because people are kind of working from home, you really need we've got a company called Aruba, which kind of sells networking gear. So that's a competitor for Cisco. So, and the thing is that this is how things are changing. The second thing which our organization is going up and doing, and I'm sure you must have seen it on the news, is that we've moved into vendor financing, right? So what we are trying to do is we've kind of allocated around $2 billion to finance so that people can procure our equipment and pay later. You just pay 10% now and pay later. Third, I was dealing with a lot of these research companies like Forrester, Gartner, IDC. So they've kind of come back to me, and these are quite around 25-30K for a license. What they are trying to do is they're trying to kind of slice and dice and give you small pieces of their licenses. So this is another thing which a lot of organizations are doing in terms of trying to make things bite-sized, not really hitting the pocket, because everyone's kind of put a pause on any major investments. Okay. So this is something which a lot of organizations, especially the tech companies, and I'm seeing this is getting replicated by the other organizations as well. That how do you really innovate solutions so that you keep you keep that funnel flowing. You keep filling the funnel. So so these are a few things. On the other side, you mentioned about industries. See, I'm looking from a tech point of view. The tech industry, obviously, here, what we're trying to do is across the world, we know some of these outdoor advertising. I'm just coming from a marketing point of view here, that all this out of home OH, is really not helping, right? Your banners and your online stuff is more relevant. Your TV viewership has increased, so the investments out there. Yeah. Now coming to I think you will be asking a question around that probably later on, but the areas, the industries which we are kind of looking at is the government, the education sector, because a lot of these children are at home, right? And they're not able to kind of get to school. So how do you really improve this whole they say homeschooling school at home rather, and really get that seamless connectivity. Okay. So we are kind of signing up with a lot of the US schools because it's nearly all of their children are at home at the moment, right? So that is one thing where we are trying to kind of create very bite-sized solutions so that they can take it up right now and later on pay. It should not be hurting their pockets. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I'd like to change the tact and the sorry,
Vinay.
Sam, yes, please.
Vinay, can I share the screen? I just want to share one point on because you're asking about the verticals.
Yes, please.
Will I be able to share a screen?
Yes, just go below and you can click on share screen and share your screen. All of us will be looking at it.
Can you see this now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is one action that we have done with most of the sales team members because the next quarter, this quarter and the next quarter is going to be very, very critical. And we looked at their pipeline. Now, this is a research, of course, I've represented it graphically here. Obviously, the thick greens and the light greens are the ones to focus on.
Right.
And the yellows and the oranges are kind of in the mid-tier. And the reds are, at least for the next 6 months, don't even touch it. So if there is a line item in your funnel from any of these industries, park it. Because time is going to be very precious and the conversion and the pipeline optimization is going to be so crucial. So one of the activities that we did was, if you found any opportunity in the pipeline from tourism, hospitality, airlines, airports, automobile, construction, real estate,
yeah,
right? We have taken that and completely given it to marketing.
Okay.
Right? Saying, guys, and we have shared the evaluator's name, the decision maker's name, so that we are not kind of ghosting that opportunity. The customer feels that we have dropped them like a hot potato. So we've told marketing saying, just keep in touch with them. No active efforts from the sales guys, okay? But on the other side, like for example, if you have not been focusing on the pharma for whatever reasons, or if you have not been focusing on food processing and retail for whatever reasons, or even medical supplies, right? Any brand which is focused on personal health care,
right?
And for whatever reasons, you didn't take up e-commerce at all, right?
Right.
Now, these are hyper growth opportunities because these segments are going through 200%, 300%, 500% growth rates, right? So we are trying to do account-based marketing with the marketing air cover and with the sales guy following through on the leads and also driving these brands to come to the website. There's a very concerted effort that the brands, in fact, the clients, we are trying to put together an action plan to go on going after these segments. So it's a kind of a two-pronged approach, sales and marketing, what to double down on and what to bring down on.
It's very useful. In fact,
I can.
Sorry, Sam.
Right. Now, how do I stop sharing?
Same button below.
Okay.
You would have a stop share.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. In fact, financial services as a blob within your deck, within your slide, if divided into banking and insurance, I a huge amount of green in the same colors that you used within the insurance segment.
Yeah.
Insurance companies, small, especially appealing to small to medium-sized businesses, individuals, are seeing amazing progress. So just to change tack, and thank you for that, Sam. We've looked at it from within the organization. We've looked at it from the perspective of a sales individual. What are your tips? What should people be doing? What is the new normal for them? I would like to change the direction and look at it from the perspective of a prospect or a customer, and your thoughts on that. So I was writing an article recently. A few of you have commented on it, talking about how things are connecting now. What is the new normal in terms of appealing to a prospect? This could be somebody you have never spoken to, so it might be a cold call, one end of the spectrum, or it could be a customer who you worked with for a very long time. So I've kind of compressed or ensured to get all the opinions that I was hoping to get, and found a specific set of words which I've noted here. I mean, converted them to a sentence. And I think I dare say that empathy stands out. A lot of people spoke about empathy, understanding the pain points, understanding what the prospects, finally humans, are going through. But making that into a sentence that say empathy might get you through the door, but competency, reliability, integrity, and value will keep you in that room. In terms of your prospects, in terms of your customers, how would you react to that? Let me start with Krishna.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point because if you draw a quadrants where you say one side is the care and concern and the other one side is the competence. And if you have high and low, if you have a low competency and low care and concern, then it's of no use. But then if you show only extreme care but no competency, then you're crying on their shoulder, they'll cry on your shoulder. But what happens is on the other side, if you look at it, you show too much of competency but don't care for them, then you become aggressive or arrogant in your approach in saying whatever I want to do. But then what is the right balance is to show a good care and concern and extremely show that competency. Even if you don't have a competency, it is the best time to collaborate with your team and get the expertise and go to the customer and proposing your solution there. That's where I say It may not be, I'm not, as a salesperson, I'm not an encyclopedia to give all kind of answers to him. But if I have a team, if I have a resource, I think this is the best time to collaborate and go back to them and show that. And that's where it's also important for people to become assertive in their approach and understand what is the customer wants, and then slowly do. It is not that you are bombarded with your solution. Give a collaborative approach is what is required. I completely agree. Otherwise, it's all Saturday evening meeting in a bar and say, oh, your boss scolded me, I boss scolded me, both of us share our stink. That is not going to happen. It is important to have the competency.
Yeah, the Saturday meeting bar is some time away. But
absolutely, bar is away. Yeah.
Shikha, as an entrepreneur, Shikha, what are your thoughts? How are you getting through to prospects to even hear you out?
See, Vinay, this is how I would look at it, right?
Shikha, we can't hear
you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can.
Right. So this is how I would look at it. The care and concern and the competencies during the normal times was a continuous process, right? You would start with care and concern, try and understand, your customer, and then go on to the next phase of selling. During times like these, I don't see a very continuous cycle, right? So for example, like I shared with you, there is a segment where there is no question of competency at this point in time because buyers are not buying. That segment is not existing at this point in time. Yet at the same time, it's extremely important for us to stay in touch with them, right? And engagement is important.
Okay.
And that is where our care and competency comes into play, where we continue to engage. So, there's a section of team that continues to keep in touch and engages with the customer to understand how they are evolving. And hence we are going to evolve with them, right? So it is more to say, this is how we comprehend at this point in time, looking at the different ventures that I am involved in, is the stage of the buyer, what they are. We look at our activities and decision making. So a part of the business requires us to display competencies is what we are going to do. There's a part of the business which says that continue to engage with them at this point in time. There is no need to sell at all, right? So the high priority remains engagement purely. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Neil, how are you? I know you mentioned that at Yellow Messenger, things have been a bit different than the normal. The new normal has been in some form or fashion useful because a lot of people tend to want to speak and use AI right now. But how are you speaking to people who don't know you, have never heard from you, have no clue who Yellow Messenger is? How do you appeal to them to hear you out?
Okay, so Vinay, while there has not been a complete shutdown, but of course, in terms of the spends that used to happen, that definitely has come down from any business or any organization or administration. That has happened. So, like the norm is universal right now that everybody has to continue the hustle in a shoestring budget. Everybody has to do more with less. So that has to be there. So taking the learning from there, any organization at this point in time has to understand that it's a alien situation even for the businesses that you're reaching out to, you're talking to. And as Shikha rightly mentioned, right, that how do you consult, how do you enable them to do that more with less? How can they utilize your product or services to optimum capacity to reach the intended goals that they are trying to reach at this point in time is something which probably they're also not aware of. one thing to understand is the uncertainty that is there right now has no certain deadline to it. I mean, it's very different from the past recessions which we have seen in our lifetime, where it was human error or human driven error, and there were certain control measures that were there. The current situation is unprecedented to a greater level, is because we don't have a specific timeline as to when it's going to end, or we don't have any learning that we can utilize in order to businesses, or stop the show for in certain quadrants, run a bit of it, and wait for things to normalize. So
Right.
we'll have to take it over and run it in a way where we can effectively and tactfully learn it. So the imparting that learning to your buyer as to probably in your domain, how you're enabling him to kind of run more effectively. I think that's where it's going to help. Empathy, as Krishna spoke about, yes, that definitely empathy should be there in any given day, whether it's a new normal or it was an old normal. Empathy stays, but then again, there shouldn't be empathy overdrive. In the current situation, we are also seeing a lot of empathy overdrive.
And it starts looking fake, is what you mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I feel very strongly when empathy is just an act. It I think gets found out really soon, and actually it works much against the individual portraying that act.
Yes, you may have heard this saying. I read it somewhere that the color of care is red. So if it is not genuine, that shows too.
Yeah, good one. Thank you for that, Neil. I want to bring in 3 people for the next question mainly, and then
I just want to add one point on the empathy part.
Sam, yes.
If you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Empathy not converting into some kind of platitudes or some lip service. In these times, empathy also means that you should reach out to the CFO. Empathy means that you have an opportunity for your company CEO to reach out to your customer CEO. Right? These are 2 people who are highly stressed, right? On a daily basis, they are doing some iterations. So imagine a vendor CEO reaching out to the customer CEO saying, these are the things that we are doing. We want to reach out to you. You're one of our important customers. Is there anything that we can do for you? It's an act of empathy, right? It's not like just lip service. The other is, as an account manager, I'm encouraging all the salespeople to reach out to the CFO. In the normal times, the evaluator or the decision maker, they didn't allow us to go to the CFO.
Right.
Many times they were gatekeepers for us. I don't think anyone is objecting if you bypass them within court and reach out to the CFO saying, I'm sure there are areas that you're looking at cost cutting, or you're looking at converting your fixed cost to variable cost, etc., etc. Is there anything on top of your mind that we can help you with? Is an act of empathy.
Understood. Yeah. Right. Krishna.
Hey, thanks, Vinay.
Thank you, Sam. Krishna has requested that he be excused. I think he has another meeting to attend. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Krishna. We'll miss you. There's a bunch of questions. What I'll do is I'll send you the remaining questions at your leisure. Please do answer them. I'll include them in the SES board, the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much for attending, Krishna. Right. So the next question, I'd like to bring in 3 panelists mainly, and then pass it on to the others because it involves marketing. So the question goes, how can the marketing department help the sales teams to get through these testing times? Is there a new normal with regard to marketing campaigns? Dhriti did mention what they're doing at Hapway at the beginning, but Dhriti, that's what you're doing. But what are your thoughts? Are there other things that you can do?
With everything going digital currently, what I feel is there are 3-4 things which sales team and marketing can do, working together. And I guess those were the ideas mainly which has come up from this conversation, which I already feel, and it actually reinforces with listening to, for example, first my point is what Krishna said, that this is the time you should optimize your LinkedIn profile, which is one thing which I really feel that sales and marketing are the people who are the face of the company, and if they do not have it optimized, it is really difficult to get or to use LinkedIn to its maximum potential, because it has worked out as a great lead generation engine for many companies. So one thing is to use LinkedIn to its maximum potential. Second thing which I feel is use the online tools. So it's really, I'm seeing a lot of digital marketers who are currently giving their consultant services at free right now.
Right.
So they are writing on LinkedIn, they are saying that you can reach out to me, be it a startup or aspiring startup or anything, you can reach out to me and I can give you the free consulting. So I guess this is the time where the B2B enterprise salespeople can give their consultancy. So for example, in my company, we are a TNE consulting, TNE automation company. What our salespeople can do as they can say that I can be a TNE consultant for you and I can give you some free advices, and have some sessions scheduled with finance managers or CFOs or CIOs, and try to build that relationship and that trust about your domain expertise. Third thing, as Ravindra said that we should, Ravindra and Sam said that we should do ABM, so segment your audience. I was reading this really nice article by Harvard Business Review, which was regarding how marketers should market in a downturn, and they segmented the audience in four segments. First is slam on the brakes, which are the people who actually stop all their expenses and look only for essentials. Second is pained but patient. They look out for essentials, but also some treats here and there. Comfortably well off will look for essentials, treats, and the items which can be postponed, but if they feel they can they try and push themselves to buy that. And live for today are the kind of people who like in a regular way. So this is the time that you should sit down with your database, segment it accordingly, and take your marketing team's help to make customized approach messaging campaigns for them. Besides, this is the time where all those ideas which used to pop up in your head, write it down, try that out, because this is the time we can do it. Otherwise, we always are in that rat race that we just want to finish our task and to-do list. So I guess this time we should utilize to try out more such ideas which we always wanted to do.
Testing techniques during testing times. Yes, Dhriti, thank you. That's pretty useful. I'd like to bring in Saurabh next. He touched upon marketing and different approaches to it. Anything that you advise people to do in terms of marketing campaigns?
Right. So just to kind of let you know, events, right? So each of these tech companies, Google I/O, we've got Discover. So we've kind of we're moving virtual. Okay. So this is something which a lot of the organizations and we've been discussing, and it's actually under discussion right now. That decision took place last week. How do you really make an immersive virtual event, right? Because this is like a large scale event. Customers, channel partners, they come over, they see products, right? And how do you really make that? So one is moving all these events to virtual. We are trying to use different solutions. Probably kind of get some AR, VR kind of going on with that,
okay,
so that it will be more immersive. Okay. And the other side of marketing is that we've been doing some research, and I know Sam had shared something. I just touched upon that because marketing in times of COVID, right? So people have kind of changed their whole messaging. As you've said about empathy, people are not going full out trying to sell their product. They're trying to send a message on COVID and bring up their brand value. And just kind of to end off with, as I was just saying, the OOH outdoor, out of home, the whole branding and advertising, that has kind of moved away. TV, we were doing some research from Kantar, and the other side, the TV viewing has gone up.
Okay.
The over the top, the Amazon Primes and Netflixes, if you can have some time out there, that is where you can really play a part. So I'll stop there. Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh. That was very useful. Shikha has to go address her team. I'm sure all her views were very useful. Thank you so much for attending, Shikha.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thanks everyone. Look forward to more frequent sessions.
So many, Shikha.
Absolutely. Right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Right. To continue with the question, Ravindra, your thoughts, and if you could please bring in the perspective of bids and proposals, which you're a guru in. We've spoken about the sales team, what they should do differently, prospects, how we approach them differently. But bids and proposals, I believe, are the bridges that connect the sales team to your prospects, your prospective customers. What should be done differently there?
Sure, before I answer this question, I'll go back to the previous question on marketing. I was working with a customer a year back. It's a 24-year-old company.
Right.
That is Wipro and the Infosys started. And when Wipro and Infosys are tens of billions of dollars of company today, this company was still stuck at $400 million only, in spite of 24 years of operation, spread across the globe. The new marketing head was appointed. He called me and told, Ravi, can you please review my website and give me your honest feedback? I did a dissection on their website, especially from the strat marketing perspective.
Okay.
And when I look at the case studies, what they had listed in their website, and look at what a visitor can derive out of these case studies, there was a complete mismatch. They were projecting themselves as one particular technology specialist, but those case studies were not the case in the website. They were trying to portray as specialists in one particular industry or domain or functional, whereas their website was talking completely different. I gave them statistics of this, telling that what you mean and what you're trying to do is not the same. Maybe this is one of the reasons that visitors for your site is not so not converting. So the message here is the marketing did not do the job of a marketing. They were trying to put the old wine in the new bottle. They rehashed the same marketing content into a beautiful colored looking themes in the new website. So marketing has a great function, great role to play. They cannot be order takers. They have to be lateral thinkers. This is my submission when it comes to marketing. Thank you so much for that previous question. Coming to bids and proposals. Today, if you look at the RFPs are getting more and more complicated, because as we talk, the technologies are being invented today as we talk. So, and the complexities are getting even more complex. The VUCA is always becoming more and more VUCA, in fact. And this blockchains, these AIs, these MLs, these robotics, these DBTs, all this is confusing more and more and more. In my sessions, coaching, etc., what I always tell people is what I told you earlier. Besides that, the empathy part. What do we do when we get an RFP? This is my first question in all my workshops. I was involved with Sony recently. The first question I ask them is, when you get an RFP, of example, let's not take a huge RFP, $10 million RFP. What is the first thing you do? The first thing they do is take a previous proposal. Take a previous proposal, start working from there, and keep changing the names and take the previous proposal content, the previous proposal structure, everything. And this is a sure shot, a way of failing an RFP or not winning an RFP or writing a very wrong, losing a proposal. What should they do? They should copy paste, not in the beginning. They should first look at the goals and objectives, the stakes and stakeholders, the implicit and the explicit need, identify their company win themes as to how it can solve the customer's most dominant desires or the CRA, the compelling reasons to act for that particular RFP, and then put a win strategy looking at the competition assessment, put the right value proposition. These are the sequence of steps. So this has a framework. When you work with the cross-functional teams, sales, marketing, HR, sometimes for resource ramping up, ramping down, resource loading and unloading, etc. When you work with a cross-functional team, till this time, you have put the complete storyboard in snippets, and you can thread all this little later. That is when you should copy from a previous proposal. This is my take on how do you write effective proposals.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Ravindra. I just want to take cognizance of the time. It's 4:25. So we have possibly the last 5, maybe extending because we started a bit late, to 10 minutes. So I'll get into maybe end game questions for today. This is obviously going to be an ongoing conversation. We'll have multiple other sessions for sure. Sales metrics, something that I've been very passionate about. I know a bunch of you already also are very passionate about. Which ones have you seen majorly change in the last 90 days with regards to whether it's positive impact or negative impact? Which of these sales metrics have seen significant change in the last 90 days? Let me possibly start with Sam.
Yeah. So there's one particular topic that we are speaking to all clients because, again, keeping the focus for the next 6 months. Is my audio okay?
Yes, sir.
I just unmuted. Okay. Is in terms of what is the forecast from your base customers, right? Of course, we might have to go to the new segments and create new opportunities, etc., but it might have its own sales cycle closure time, right? So one metric that both the customer account manager and the customer success team are focused on is what is the order closure from the existing customers, right? And second is there any revenue loss because you're running on a quarterly basis in terms of the order book?
Right.
Proactively reaching out to the customer to understand, is there a furlough of his invoices, or is there a window of payment holiday that he is looking at? I mean, these kind of things the sales guy never bothered, right? But we are introducing these metrics to look at it on a weekly basis.
Got it.
Because for the next 6 weeks, cash is king. So the invoice that you're going to raise, the purchase orders that you're going to get, and the collections you're going to make from your existing base customer is the number one priority.
Got it.
In my humble opinion, right? So that's one metric we are very, very closely tracking.
Understood. Thank you. Neil, if I may go to you next, because I know you look at metrics.
Yes. So Vinay, the first and the primary matrix that we are tracking is of course the success ratio at this given time. And in order to do that, we understand that in the given situation, we will need to test different options to see what resonates with the target markets today. Now, this cannot be, I mean, where this is an A/B testing, it's a risk that we're taking. It cannot be impacting a quarter worth of, the tenure of an entire quarter.
Got it.
So we have brought down everything to a monthly number.
Okay.
We have chopped down our quarters into months, and that's from a management or a topical view. From an individual P&L views or territorial views, we have brought it down to weekly or bi-weekly numbers. So every test, every new run that we're doing as experiment in those markets, in those industry segments, it's for a very short period of time. That's one. Second is the long-term plans. So creating lower commitment of bite-size sales offerings for our customers, and to the newer domains or the domains which are moderately affected with the current situation.
Yes.
That's a second matrix that we are tracking. It's rather not a matrix, but we are tracking the success of that in these times. And the third is similar to what Sam mentioned, that going to all your prospects and trying to see whether prospects and customers, and trying to see if there is a possibility of a certain revenue commit for a longer duration, or for a longer futuristic duration. That's a third matrix that we're tracking in terms of the expansion revenue that we are able to get from the customers. So these are the three key metrics that we're tracking.
Okay, great. Saurabh, you work for obviously a very large company. Has anything changed in terms of sales analytics, sales metrics? Have you seen any upgrade or downgrading of specific metrics within your organization?
So I'll not speak about sales metrics, because obviously this is being kind of looked into, and as I said, we all looking into some we started off with the compensation plans in terms of using our learning management systems, also downloading some of these contents and presentations, selling in COVID times, and so we really would want our sales force to be kind of aware of how to sell during this time, because many times it's like we don't want it to be a WhatsApp university, because everyone is learning from WhatsApp. They need to sell our products, the company's brand, and solutions and products, rather than Googling and sending out a message, because this is going to be both on the channel partner side as well as our internal sales force. So that's where we are trying to see that our sellers are getting covered with the right content during this time. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for that. Ravindra, do you have any thoughts? What, maybe not from a perspective of what has changed, but what organizations should focus on? Any specific sales metrics that they should take cognizance of and read off and start getting inferences out of?
Prospecting, as we have seen, the trend is 2 out of 100 calls, which means 2% is the penetration at a global average, depending on the industry, the product, and the service. It's a global average again. There may be aberrations to it. So 98 times prospect calling, prospect approach is not yielding results. Two things what we can do during downturn as well as during the normal days. One is look at proactive prospecting. What I mean by that is look at the market triggers, the compliance triggers, the regulatory triggers, or the business triggers. Based on the triggers, approach your customers proactively before there is a competition and before a set of such requirements become a huge RFP and before it becomes competitive. So point number one, be proactive. Business leaders, CXOs, sales, especially the solution engineering team, always look at the market triggers and be proactive, keeping your ammunition ready back end along with your marketing and the pre-sales team. That's one thing. Second thing is, since prospecting is difficult right now in the downturn, focus more on customer retention. Customer retention, one easy way of building quick rapport is admit wherever there is a lapse. Point number one. Point number two, bring an unexpected value proposition. What I mean by unexpected value proposition is my company has a contract with the buyer company. The buyer company is expecting service level 99.1%, for example, or upkeep of a particular service X percentage. If I can show something tangible as well as intangible that I have done better than the contract, that may go well. And if you package and position it in a way that Vinay needs these 1, 2, 3, 4 metrics or 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of interest, Sam has this requirement, Neil has these requirements, etc. When I take these, something which I've done better than the normal, that is where it may resonate well in further adding to the contract or retaining the contract. These are 2 or 3 tips I recommend.
Thank you, Ravindra. Thank you so much. I've closely followed sales metrics. I mean, I have multiple versions of sales metrics that I follow, process flows, and so on. One interesting flow that I have is lead to logo, which effectively starts at the genesis. I mean, campaign to call, to connect, to conversation, to interest levels, all the way up to getting a contract, right? So the point is, I've seen and I very closely watch each of these metrics and the conversions, how they've changed. The connections, obviously people are at home. People have a little more bandwidth than they used to when they were running their businesses. So the connections to the right individual within organizations, within prospect organizations has gone through the roof. Obviously the conversations after you connect, they've started falling miserably. I mean, up to say 2 weeks ago, they were down by 50%. Now I dare say with the metrics of last week, they're down to over 60%. So, you know, hardly 4 out of 10 people that I'm actually connecting with, as in they are at the end of the phone, they have any interest to converse with me, right? Some metrics which are useful. So we have employed, as a tip to others attending, we've employed the notion of a webinar, right? Something similar to what we're doing, which is not focused on our offering set, but is within the realm of what is it that we sell, right? I mean, in my day avatar, I'm the vice president of sales at Deskera. We sell ERP and business solutions on the cloud. So we tend to conduct webinars within that realm for everybody who doesn't seem pretty interested right now to have conversations, sales conversations about buying our product, or even evaluating our product. So we are now bringing them into these webinar sessions, which I suppose is working decently well. A lot of people are interested. It's an interactive session, and a nice, interesting side effect is there are a lot of business leaders. These are owners. These are decision makers within their own small to medium-sized companies are coming together on the webinar, and we are enabling or providing a platform for them to chat with each other, get introduced to each other. So there's various such side effects. This is one tip of something that is working for us guys. I'm sure there are others which the panelists have shared, which are useful. So I think that brings us to the end of what was an amazingly interesting session. I thank all the panelists, some of whom had to rush out to other and previously scheduled engagements, some who couldn't join. I thank you all for attending, sharing your views, your opinions, and your tips. I'm hoping that some of them are takeaways for all our attendees to go implement in their respective organizations. And I thank all the attendees for taking out time on a weekend to attend this. This, as I said before, is first of many sessions that we hope to revive Sales Enablement Society with. The board would discuss and come back to publish the frequency of such events. But you, I'm sure, are part of our WhatsApp group. If you're not, please note down my number. It is 990-225-1155. I will put it in the chat session also. If you're not already a member, send me a message and I will make you a member of the WhatsApp group. You can pose your questions there. You can share your opinions, links to interesting articles that you're reading, which could help all of us. So thank you again, all of you, for attending today's session. And until the next session, goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I put my number in the chat session.
Thanks, Vinay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Saurabh, Ravindra.
Thanks, Vinay.
Dhriti. Yeah, I think she's gone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vinay.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Hey, Anil.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Vinay. I'm sorry. I just saw the message. I just woke up.
That's okay. I know you're in a different.
Hello.
Yeah, I know you're.
No, I just saw the message, Vinay.
That's okay. I have recorded the session, so I'll publish it.
Thanks. It was a good session.
Yeah, you missed the beginning of it, Shubhanjan, but I have recorded
Yes.
the session, so it'll be useful. Maybe even.
Yeah, sure. I was in a podcast recording. I couldn't get out of it, unfortunately.
I understand. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. You can carry it, Anil.
Bye, Anil. We'll speak.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Gopal.
Sure, sir.
Thank you, Vinay.
Yeah, Vinay, thanks.
Thank you, Vinay.
It was a great session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.